Well, welcome to the Poor Me Story podcast. Today I'm joined by Chris Therrien. Yay! She is one of my very, 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 very close friends who's also a major advocate, which we'll get into in a minute, wife, mother, all that fun stuff. And we get together and we like to drink some of these Cutwater craziness together. If you don't know what we're talking about, this brand has a whole bunch of stuff. This one is the Cutwater Lemon Drop Martini, which has, what is this? This one is 11%. Oh shit, yeah, it's 11%. So Cutwater, you have to be careful because it's weirdly strong, and not all of them. So if you want to crack yours open, I even got very fancy today. Here it goes. Ooh, I put a lemon in. I'm going to leave some to the imagination, but not much. I don't usually do that. And yay. Give it a squeeze. Yay. Cheers, Chris. Thank you for being here. So bring your mic close to your face and let's have a conversation. Like, as I was saying, I might even look at my notebook today because I have some pointed questions for you. But Chris is a co-founder of the acronym SONS, and it's not of anarchy. I mean, it kind of is anarchy. I love it because that's what it is. But what does SONS stand for? And then we'll get in.
SONS stands for Standing Up for Natick Students.
Okay.
And it's I want to say a counter-protest, but it's not really. We simply want to disseminate correct information.
What? Correct?
I know. Keep people informed.
Yeah. No, but it's huge.
About what's going on in our school system.
Okay.
Primarily with regards to combating a parental rights group that popped up in town.
Here, bring that closer. I know it's a foreign object towards your face. You know I can't help myself with a few of the dick jokes, but and it's so funny, and I'm so grateful for you for doing that. I've been helping out a tiny bit, like teeny behind the scenes, when you first started this with the group, which is awesome. But, for people who don't know parental rights and don't know, so why is SONS so important? What was it that but like the general you is coming out and saying, this is not okay. You are not getting the right information. You are spreading bullshit and lies. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So it actually goes all the way back to the summer of 2022 when a very small group, I think at the time it was about 6 people, started, and it was primarily headed by 2 women in town, one who has a current student and one whose children have never actually been in Natick public schools.
Just so fucking annoying.
Right.
But anyway.
And they started harassing the school district about indoctrination into what they were calling gender ideology. It's still unclear what exactly that means. I think they make it up as they go along. And so I was alerted to this by the superintendent in September of 22. And it just made me angry.
Sure. That
they were presuming that the schools were teaching children to be gay or transgender or non-binary. And as a very out lesbian, I thought, this is absurd. This is,
bullshit.
Yes. How in 2022 are we still allowing this to happen? And so
by teaching kids just about what family or identity is in general. I mean, really.
Yes. So what they're saying is you cannot teach children that my children's parents exist.
Which is so fucked up. And well, I don't blame you for being angry. I mean, again, it's the parental rights and the parental rights in our town are not smart. I mean, I'll just be honest. These are not these are not from the scholars. They're from, the people that have very rigid viewpoints on the world, about what their kids should be learning and should not be learning, who do want to combine church and state, essentially, and teach.
Absolutely.
Right? And then, see, that gets me fired up, because also as a very out Jewish woman, you know what I mean? I mean, culturally, but that really pisses me off, because whose religion would we even be teaching, and whose God are we going to follow? And
there's only one.
Well, exactly. That's right. Sorry, I totally forgot. But
a lot of it, I think, is also steeped in fear.
Yeah.
Which I hadn't really considered until I had a conversation with an administrator, just sort of haphazardly, as we were, and this is sort of a tangent, but as we were watching the new pride flags being flown in front of the elementary schools and the middle schools and the high school. I was standing there at the elementary school that I used to be the president of the PTO at.
Oh, where we
Somehow
met.
I didn't turn any of the children gay.
Oh my!
as
How
far as
did you
I know.
do that? You're so loud.
And the administrator said to me, people are fearful of what they don't understand. And so they can't imagine it for their own children.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
that makes them scared. And so they're trying to combat that. And maybe their route for combating it isn't the smartest or isn't the most successful, because what you're doing is you're making a very divided community instead.
Yeah.
So now we're divided over whether or not the kids get to learn whether I exist or whether any other LGBTQ person exists.
And that's such bullshit. Like that is, well, and again, too, I mean, we're taking a giant step backwards just because I feel like we've come so far and so much has been done. And, you know, a few podcasts ago when I had Bitchless Bride and Beyond, I had my IVF doctor on. And it was such a cool experience for me, too, because he was not outwardly gay when I went through IVF, but then became outwardly gay as an advocate because he's, you know, a lot of same-sex couples were coming to him, you know, trying to have a baby and whatever that means. And he said, this always stood out to me. He said, the definition of what family is changing. And we need to embrace that from what I do to what the schools are teaching, because, you know what, we're not all, you know, white straight couples with these beautiful, perfect kids living in a wrinkle in time, bouncing a ball at the same time. We are much deeper than that. And there's so much more to it. And, you know, I feel my rage. Hold on a second.
The rage is palpable most
I know,
days.
you're so good. You're so calm and collected. And I'm like, and then, but no, it gets me so frustrated because it's like, you know, I have so many people in my life who are so very different from me, but that's why I'm drawn to them. You know what I mean? You and I are very fucking different, but I see you every single day. We shoot the shit. We have so much fun. And I don't think that you have a wife. Like, I don't care in a nice way, right? Just like you probably...
Should love to know that you never think about her.
No, Jess, it's not personal, girl. But like, do you know what I'm saying? I don't think about it that way. And I think that...
It's because I'm so girly.
You are. I mean, look at you. I mean, you're wearing a bra, which I'm very impressed with. I do love all your rainbow shoes. This is as rainbow as I get today. And I was looking. I usually have more stuff, but it's not clean. It's just like, I should have thought about that before I recorded. But no, I think it frustrates me. And we have people in our lives who identify as they, them. And again, I that's one of the other giant leaps for me that really pisses me off, because it's, what if we were born like a Barbie doll, right? With no privates. And right, you got to think about that. What if we didn't pick it? Or like, what if you were kind of like this blank slate, and based on how you felt was how you got to choose your, I mean, it's really basic. So like, yes, I understand people are afraid of what they don't understand. But on the flip side of it, it's like, it's real fucking basic. Can we just learn? You know,
Yes.
like be open to learning about it.
That is a key, being open to learning about it, and they're not.
No. And like, that's like one of the things that like I find extremely frustrating. I am going to open my notebook because Chris and I work together on an outline, and because both of us have pretty severe ADHD, we wanted to be sure that we weren't missing anything important, because, you know, we hope that this pod and, you know, the camera that I hate will actually get out there. And like we were talking about the sons, and then we were joking around. We were talking about the quote absolute dumpster fire that is our current political and legal climate. Mm-hmm. So I just want to come back to you know, the Supreme Court decisions lately. You know, and we were saying they feel a lot like they've been ripped from like 1950s dystopian like fanfic. And the Boston Public Schools did a really fucking cool thing, though. They their response was basically like, "We hear you, but too fucking bad. We're not changing our inclusive culture." So, but that's when you know, entered the Mass Family Institute, the group that sounds like it should be handing out pamphlets at church, which cracks me up. But really targeting, you know, campaigns against LGBTQ kids and families, you know, under the guise of like protecting family values, which really fucking pisses me off. And that like,
whose family values?
Well, exactly. And like, what, you know, behind closed doors, you don't know what really happens in my family. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm fortunate. I have a kind, lovely husband who can be a little moody, you know, and I've talked about that on every podcast I've ever done. He's really, really lovely, but sometimes he has sand in his vagina, and I get very frustrated. No, but But you don't know what's happening behind closed doors. Why is my white straight life supposedly the example? Because like no one's hitting anyone. I'm just want to claim that. But do you know what I'm saying? But like you don't know why is that the goal? And like that, I think that's what's so frustrating. You know, and then like, what was it? They were teaching in kindergarten. There was like a same-sex couple. The book, I forget the book that got banned recently here. It was like they were reading in kindergarten or first. I kind of remember a lot of the craziness around it, where a lot of parents were just upset because there was like other kids who have gay parents were like, "Hey, I want to see some books that represent what I look like and how what my family looks like."
Well, the Supreme Court screwed that.
Yes.
With the Mahmoud case that came out. The decision came out last month. And the Supreme Court decided that it would violate the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment if parents didn't have the opportunity to opt out of... Now, they were originally very narrow. It was LGBTQ curriculum, but the Supreme Court in their decision did not seem to narrow it down. So it kind of leaves it open if you read it.
Did you read? How long is it?
It's long. I read it.
Yes.
It leaves it open to literally anything you might disagree with or you think goes against your religion. Dragons.
Dragons are against my religion.
Wizards.
I don't actually know.
Wizards. Yoga. Meditation.
Wow.
So it's kind of crazy. Now, if you
like
think
Handmaid's
about
Tale.
It is. If you think about what that means for the school districts, it means that any parent who has a child, and they haven't defined like what age is this is, so hopefully it's not going to be in high school and like limit literally every literature class that we have or science class. But these parents are going to have the opportunity to say, I think learning that LGBTQ people exist violates my religious freedom in public school. And so I want to opt my child out of this. Now you, public school, need to create a curriculum that's alternative for my child. Find a place for my child to go. Make sure my child is not in the room if this comes up again. Do you see why Boston Public Schools came out with everyone just hold a minute?
Yes.
We're going to take a beat.
That's a lot of fucking work.
It is a lot of work.
It's a lot of fucking work for something that's so silly. You know what I mean? Like for something that's just so fucking stupid. Like that's the thing that kind of kills me. Also, like, you're not going to teach our kids what the real world is like. And I think that is like one of the things that I find so incredibly frustrating is, so what happens? Then they're going to go to college and actually learn this stuff. You know, it's like telling your kids, don't drink, don't ever do anything bad. And then the kids that never tried or never did anything in high school go to college and they like, fuck all. And all of a sudden they're the ones getting a DUI or getting really sick, or you know what I mean? Because they never were exposed to anything.
So all these kids are going to be gay later.
Oh my God, they're totally.
That's what you're saying?
Way to twist my words, bitch. But exactly. But they're so worried about that like when they actually go out into the world, you know what? I would actually kind of love that. Wouldn't that be amazing? Yes.
What do they call that? Fuck around and find out.
Well, but I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I fucked around and found out I wasn't gay. Okay, that's fine, you know? But I did some exploring, you know, physically, but also emotionally, you know, with the women that were close to my life. And then it's like, okay, that's not for me, but I don't care. But like knowing about like, you know, like you and like my gay male friends, like I don't care. You know what I mean? Like I want to just have it be like, I think the curriculum thing just kills me because it's like it's such a deterrent for these kids to learn what the reality is, to learn that families look different, to learn that like somebody, you know, might not know exactly if they were born into the right body. And until they kind of figure that out, I'm they, them, or I'm he, her, you know, whatever it is. And for me with the pronouns too, see, I'm tangenting. I already feel like, hey, 11%, what's up? But with the pronouns, I think what it really gets me is like, I just don't want to offend anyone. I've said it. I will learn it. I don't care that I really like the English language and it goes pretty much against everything. That's not a good argument. Like when I hear people being like, well, it's like, no, I know. It's like, you want to be called shithead. Fine. I'll call you shithead. I don't care. If you are they, them, I don't want to offend you. And I feel like it just behooves everyone to learn about it so that you go into the world as a compassionate, caring human being. Like, particularly the corporate world. I mean, I think we've seen this all over. We have a few friends who work at companies that aren't as inclusive. However, I like that a lot of the emails I get have people's pronouns and are, on the Zoom calls are, he, him, or whatever it is. Because, I mean, I don't know. I learn as I go too.
Right.
I mean, you have a kid who's non-binary and you learn as you go, right? And it's not easy, and you're navigating the schools and you're navigating their mental health, which is huge, and that
Can you imagine all of the children's mental health with this opt-out? So you've got a room full of kids and they're going to read a book that is about a little girl. This is one of the books that was so controversial. It's a little girl whose uncle is getting married and she's really upset because she thinks it's going to take away her time with him when he gets married to his boyfriend. And her mother's like, but it's okay. They love each other and love looks different for everybody and they're going to get married and it's going to be fine and you will still have the same uncle and you will still have lots of time with him. So that book's going to get read to a 4th grade class and the couple of kids in that class who have queer parents see the other couple of kids in that class whose parents say, I don't want you to learn that these people exist. And so those few kids get taken out of class. How do you think those kids feel? Why am I being taken out?
Yeah,
and the kids who are sitting in the class, they're not dumb.
Nope.
They know what's going on. Oh, so you don't want to learn about my family?
And that's some bullshit.
So we're destroying mental health left and right.
I was going to, especially like you said, this is in 4th grade. So you're and it's starting young, which is unfortunate because it's like we're not helping the world any. And again, can you just leave me a fuck alone? Do you know what I mean? It's so fucking basic. And that's, I'm swearing a little bit more on this podcast than I used to because I'm a little fired up about this topic. I am going to look and just, again, thank you for bringing it back. I'm so impressed with you, Chris, because I will go on the tangents with this one. And we, seriously, when we were planning this podcast, I'm like, girl, how many tabs are we going to have open in our heads? So I'm going old school, right? Okay. So what you were saying when we had our conversation, you said, you saw firsthand here in Natick, where a wave of misinformed parents showed up to scream about gender ideology. And we're like, the fuck is that? Seriously, it's not a curriculum. It's just a reality. It's what is that? And I think, it's kind of like our grit and grace bullshit, right? This is where it takes someone like you and the people you associate with. There's a great fucking group of people you associate with who are the people behind Sons. And I mean, I want to talk about what it's like to be an advocate and not be the most popular person in the room. You know what I mean?
I'm always the most popular person in the room.
Cheers. Takes one to know one.
Fuck those people.
Fuck those people, right?
So as an example of who's the most popular, because while it's not a popularity contest, it does show something. So when I first found out about this small group of angry moms.
Angry moms.
I thought, well, this is horrible. Why would I want everyone to know that this isn't how most of us think. And so I wanted to write a letter to the editor. I hadn't quite figured out which newspaper. And I was thinking, I need to write a letter to the editor and call these people out and show that there are more of us than there are of them.
Yeah.
And of course, as one does, there's not a lot of bandwidth. So I asked...
What are you talking about, Chris?
I enlisted a friend and I was like, hey, I want to write this letter to the editor. And she's an amazing writer. She's one of the co-founders. And she wrote an amazing letter. But it was way too long to go to any newspaper. It was literally an article, and it documented so much actual research on how we can support children and support their mental health and support all of the other diverse groups in the schools just by being inclusive. And we decided to just send it around and see if we could get some people to sign on to it. And then we were going to send it to the superintendent and the school committee, just to let them know that there are people on their side supporting the work that they're doing
Good for
of
you.
being inclusive. So in a matter of 48 hours, we had maybe 200 something people just by emailing it. Hey, email it to some friends, email it to some friends. And then on October 11th, which is National Coming Out Day, we sent it to the school committee and to the superintendent. This was in October of 22.
Yeah.
And, they, of course, they always want to maintain their decorum, and they said, thank you very much. We appreciate all this.
We'll consider this.
Right. No, they're extremely supportive, because it was a very short time after that I, in December of that same year, that I'm a lawyer. So, of course, I've, can't help myself.
Hence the small bandwidth of like all the shit in your head.
I really wanted to see our town fly a rainbow flag outside the schools, just like the small city next door does. Mm-hmm. I would drive by this school on the way to one of my kids' practices several times a week, and I thought, wow, they have a pride flag flying outside of that elementary school. That is the coolest thing. And, I came out in the early 90s, and just thinking about that, I was like, wow, that's so cool.
Wouldn't it be great? Don't ask, don't tell.
Right. Wouldn't it be great if just every kid felt included and welcome in a school? Because that's where they spend most of their time during the school year.
100%.
And so I, sent it off to the school, wrote this nice legal analysis of why they should do this. You should do this. You have the right to do it. You can do it. You need to do it. And believe it or not, it took another 6 months, but they did it. The school committee, incredible. After vetting the idea, running it through their attorneys, discussing it amongst their policy
they have to.
Subcommittee, they came up with a proclamation that said how they support LGBTQ students and staff, and that they were going to fly the flag not just in June for Pride Month, but every day of the year.
Yes.
And so now those elementary kids and those middle school kids, they hoist the American flag right underneath. They hoist the Pride flag.
Like, but good for you. Like, but that's what I'm saying. You're not the most popular, like, as far, and I'm not saying, oh, girl, you're not popular. I'm saying, like, you're not the most popular for doing that, but you're also a doer. So it's like, you're doing the hard things that people are like, no, I don't have the bandwidth. We're all fucking busy, is the reality. You're a lawyer. You have 2 kids. Everyone can say all the things that they're doing that they're too busy for, but the reality is you make time for the things that are important to you. Period. Like, you're never too busy. You know, if you're like, I'm too busy, but I got a massage the other day because I really, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, because you wanted to. You're not, like, you make that a non-negotiable. This piece of you, this advocacy, stems from being gay, but also having a kid who identifies as they, them, but also being a good fucking human and smart. Like, you're smart.
Some days.
I mean, I know not all lawyers are smart, and I say that with a wink because, my whole family. But seriously, but that's not easy. And the Sons and seriously, every time I say Sons, and maybe it's just because of the 11% too, I really do think of Sons of Anarchy. And Hubba Hubba, I'm sorry. It's I watched it while I was pregnant with Dylan, and I'm blanking on his name. I can't believe, but his name was Jax in the thing. He was so handsome. But anyway, all I picture when I say Sons, well, not every time, is, the Sons of Anarchy motorcycle group that I loved on the show. Anyway, but I will say, there was an election here.
Yes, we did. We had a town election for a school committee, among other little committees, but the school committee had an open seat, and we had somebody from the parental rights world, which their group did not exist as their nonprofit until after that flag got flown. I think that was probably their tipping point.
Holy shit.
I don't know, maybe.
Okay.
I haven't looked up their documents from when they started their group, but it's 2 people, and I say they. Just 2 people.
Don't identify them like that.
But they backed this one candidate who was wholly unqualified, but most people probably aren't anyway to be a school committee member, because that's not something. We're just parents. We're just people in town wanting to do better. But he literally during one of the information sessions where people got to ask questions, he literally said, and I'm not taking it out of context because this is what he said, that you should be able to opt out of curriculum you don't agree with. So if you didn't agree with learning about the Holocaust, you should be able to opt your child out of that. And I'm not even sure what to make of all of that. You take with it what you will, but our group was not an official of anything at that point. No. We were just a group of really annoyed, upset, and fired up parents who wanted to make a difference and make a change and see that, we didn't have to change anything. We wanted to hold the school committee's feet to the fire, to keep doing what they're doing and not be bullied into changing what they believe in and what they've been doing, because they've always been extremely supportive. But we knew that one bad seed in the group...
Yeah, he would pollute everything.
Probably not make super big changes, but could gum up the system so that nothing happens, or so that we really don't have any further supportive actions. Yeah. And so our group grabbed more people, and I did a lot of handing out of flyers from door to door, including to the house of the woman who started the group.
Take that.
It happens to be in my neighborhood. Ugh. And so we really got out the information about this person and made sure because town elections do not garner a lot of people to vote.
No, but this one did.
And this one was the most that we've seen documented, I think, for maybe ever, because it didn't have any other elections. There's no federal elections in this one. It was just a town, not even a state election, just a town election. And we managed to make sure that he did not get elected.
Yeah, which was huge. And like beyond unqualified, he was literally like a puppet. He truly, like he was just spitting out exactly what they told him to say. Like just deeply uneducated on so many levels. And like, let's say he wasn't even part of that group. I still wouldn't have voted for him because you're a big fucking dummy. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I actually just, you want smart people and people who are driven and on the school committee because you hope that they'll advocate for the bigger you, your kids, your family, but also you want somebody who genuinely cares, you know? And maybe he did in his own very little way. But I felt like they're like, oh, we need to have someone who's going to do it. And that was, I think that was the thing that really was frustrating. And then, like I said, opting out. Oh, the Holocaust. Oh, this. Like, what? Oh, you don't think the globe is round? Opt out. Like, what the fuck? There are some of those, you know.
Yes, mean, there are.
They're usually cut from the same parental rights cloth.
Right. Yes, there's this amazing comic that I've seen a number of times, and it was one guy standing there talking to another guy, and he says, "Oh, you're gay too? That's amazing! Like, can we be friends?" And the other guy's like, and you see it pan out, and he's got a Flat Earth Society shirt, and he's like, "No, I don't think we can be friends. Gay is not enough."
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, and like that we got to stop just being like, oh, you're gay? My friend's gay. Maybe you guys can go out. Like, it's the dumbest thing. It's like, you're a white female? Oh, my friend's a white female. Maybe, fuck you. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, but that's the mentality, right? Yeah. And like, that is these very small-minded people. And one of the women that started the other group, I'll just say, I met her a long time ago, and I had instant, like, I had this visceral reaction to her. It also happened to be I met her in 2016 when Hillary was running against Trump, and she blatantly also said that she was a Trump supporter to a group of women who were not. So there was a tiny piece of me that was like, oh, that was brave. But that's the only credit I can give her. It was brave because she could have gotten pummeled, right, in all fairness. But sitting around that table, our kids were at a birthday party, and at the time, it didn't make sense to go home. So we had coffee at the place up the street with 6 or 7 moms, and I just remember being like, my eyes couldn't roll far enough into the back of my head. Like, they were going to come out my ass and do circles, right? And I knew from then on, and it was really hard for me because her daughter didn't do anything wrong except be born to her mother. And I don't even really know what her dad is like. I mean, I think he's probably vanilla. I actually don't know much about him. But I do feel bad for her daughter because I feel like as she's gotten into high school and seen that so many people feel very differently than her mom, it's probably very confusing. You know what I mean? Like,
and there we go back to the whole mental health.
Exactly. I was just going to say that is, and then it's cyclical, right? And so she, and like I said, she didn't do anything wrong except, hey, I used to believe what my parents believed because I didn't know any better. That's what I was told, Mm-hmm. I can't really think of a good example right now because they weren't outwardly for or against anything, but this is a big one, right. This is something where, if you try and teach your kids the best way to possibly be, and knowing that they listen to all the things, they listen to, Dylan was having trouble with this kid at camp because this kid kept pushing him. I was like, what the fuck? And Dylan did not push him back, but he, and this is all my fault, by the 3rd or 4th time said, fuck off. And he said, I don't know if that was the right thing. I'm like, look, did anyone hear you do it?
First and foremost.
But I'm like, no, did you feel better? He's like, I did. Did he stop pushing you? I did. I said, you learned that language because I am your mother. Mm-hmm. Totally 100%. And he's like, I wish I pushed him back. I'm like, look, that is not going to solve anything. Then you're kind of just as bad, you know? But then he got to the point where there was another comment where this guy said, like, I don't care if 4 eyes. I was like, wow, that's a really old insult. I was like, what'd you say? He goes, he said, I said, fuck you in my head though. I said, okay, like we're getting somewhere. And I was like, look, Dylan, just ignore him. You know, because at that point, if there was going to be another few weeks with this kid, I would have said, okay, I'll get involved with, you know, whatever. But I'm trying to let them figure it out by themselves. I'm glad he told me about it.
Right.
But it's, you know, I'd like to think that, you know, he said, I'd love to fight him. It's no, not worth it. Like, it's so hard because the parental rights, we're fighting in a way where we're just supporting the cause. And it's a very fine line because it's like you want to lash out and you want to say, I mean, and they've done some pretty shitty things on Facebook and some, you know, calling people, specifically you, out, you know, and your kids,
right,
which is some shit. But I think, but that's the thing. And I'm sure it's very hard to not fucking fight back like that and not stoop. It really is, because I feel like human nature, like, you're going to push me, I'm going to push you back.
The first few meetings we had when we sort of got the group together and we were trying to figure out what our purpose was, narrow it down, figure out how we were going to get the information out.
Your mission statement.
Basically, yes. It took a while because it's, you know, we wanted to be extremely focused. And we weren't sure if we were going to have a name, so I just called us "Fuck You" and the horse you came in on. And I was like, we got to change that because that doesn't fit on a shirt really well.
Actually, we could probably work that out.
Even an acronym you can say.
Fuck you.
It's a lot of letters.
Oh yeah, that's like A B C D E.
And so it took many months. It took, I think, almost 6 months for us to finally like nail down that we are going to be more formal. And we are going to give ourselves a name.
I love it.
And when we did, I can't remember who made up the name. It wasn't me. I will not take credit for that. But I love it. It's a perfect name, and I love it. But it wasn't me who made it up. And somebody else, there was kind of a disagreement of, should we name ourselves? Should we be a nonprofit? Should we be a PAC? Yeah. And you know, we went around in circles trying to figure out, and we decided we weren't going to be anything. We're just going to be an informal group of people, of parents primarily, who want to give out correct information. Correct. And so, and give out action items for people who feel like they want to do something, but they don't know what to do.
Exactly.
So we send out emails, and for a long time it was, you know, weekly. This is a weekly thing. There's a school committee meeting. Go to the meeting, send out our emails to somebody else, read the statements that these school committee members have put forth, reach out to the school committee yourself and tell them that you support what they've been doing. And so I've heard a lot of feedback from people saying, I really love that you give us, like, here's action a couple items. Things.
If you have 1 minute, if you have 5 minutes, if you
got more time, read the entire case.
Yeah. No one has that much time.
And so it's, you know, I wouldn't say it's snowballed, but there's been a whole lot going on in the last, 6 months because of the new administration. And interestingly, the parental rights group has been quiet since the election. And we realize it's probably because they think the federal government's going to handle this for them. And sadly, the federal government did, and the courts did. And so we're left in a state where we haven't heard from the state Department of Education. The towns haven't been given guidance. The school districts haven't been given guidance. So nobody really knows what or how to handle this yet. And so that's still forthcoming. Thankfully, there's the summer for everybody to figure it out. Yeah. But that hasn't stopped the parental rights group from already immediately reaching out to the school committee after that case was published.
Sick to my stomach.
Because, hey, Daddy did what we wanted him to do, and look where we are now.
Orange Daddy. Disgusting.
And so we have our work cut out for us. Yeah. And I think a lot of our forthcoming emails and information is just going to be a lot of, like, just trying to keep abreast of what's happening, because and it's going momentum. To keep... Yeah.
Right? Like the momentum, and like, I mean, how do you as a person compartmentalize some of this? Because this is heavy, because it affects you as a person. It affects your child, the greater good, and I know you care about community. You know what I mean? So regardless of who you are. So like, how do you take a moment? Because I feel like it'd be really easy to be angry a lot. Like, how do you...
You don't see my anger all the time?
I always see your anger. No, I actually don't. I don't. I see a very passionate, gritty as fuck advocate, and who sometimes does get angry. But even like when you were speaking earlier, I'm like, wow, she's so composed. I'm like, then I feel like the Cutwater did its thing, and you're like, you know. But no, I'm serious. It's really hard to not walk around angry, and I know you don't. I mean, I know you do also a lot of the time, but like, how do you take a minute and like if you'd get an ulcer?
I have a small group of people that are the leadership team of sons. And I think if it weren't for them and having our own signal chat, which we have not included anybody from the federal government or any reporters, as far as we've known, into our signal chats, we're there for each other. When this crazy stuff happens, every time something new happens, or if even it's just like a ha-ha that happened today, or hey, I've got extra chives at my house. Would you like some?
Chris brought me a bunch of chives. I mean, I immediately smelled them. I'm like, well, shit, now I'm hungry and we got to record. Fuck.
And if it weren't for them, then I think that I would be stomping around, screaming and yelling and angry,
you know,
all the time.
Yeah.
But having them as a sounding board and just knowing that they all get exactly where I am.
That's huge.
And it's not like these are people who have a stake in the game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Just leave it. She's superfluous.
We're a very diverse group. We're all parents of some sort.
Sure.
Whether our children are in school or not, whether they are gay, straight, bi, trans. It's a whole mess of backgrounds. And I think because of that, we all bring something different to the conversation.
Which I love.
And so that makes the group, I mean, we have very few disagreements and nothing that's so striking that you're just like, that person can't be part of this anymore.
You're done.
This just doesn't happen because we all know that we're here fighting for the same thing.
Well, and like, I think that's key. And you're right. And like the support network too. And it's probably like when you came out and your mom was accepting and like, you know, the kids who don't have that. And it's kind of the same idea where you're not walking around angry because you know you have this support network who will help you, support you, hang out with you, drink with you, walk their dog with you. They're really difficult, annoying dogs. Anyway, but it is nice because I think that a lot of, you know, and again, going back to mental health with our kids is really the most important thing because all these confusing messages and the fight, and there's just so much to unpack, you know, and also too, I look at my daughter and I'm like, damn, all of us, the parents here, I feel like are doing a good job because she really gets it. And she wants to be respectful and she wants to, and she literally looks at the world like, I don't give a fuck about anyone else but myself because I'm almost 15, but also her friends are of diverse backgrounds. Who gives a fuck? And like, I think it makes me really happy. And she's accepting, you know, she's accepting if someone's gay or straight. She doesn't give a fuck. Like her cousins, they, them, probably one of the first, you know, my sister's child is non-binary. And that happened, I want to say in like 21. And my sister, who's so open and liberal and awesome like that, immediately took her family to therapy just to go, I don't want to fuck this up. I love my kid too much. I don't want to say or do the wrong thing. So I think it's really important too, like with the kids, it's like, you're doing this for your kids, you know, but you're also, because we want to raise good humans, right? And accepting humans and like look around and know that they're going to go out into the world and whatever job, you know, whether it's an engineer or an artist or whatever they end up choosing, that they're just going to accept someone else's work for the value that it adds, regardless of who the fuck they are. And I, you know, and like, and I think that's like my real big sadness about this. It's like you're opting out of more than just a class and more than just a curriculum. I can't say that word. That came up a few times. Curriculum. You know what I mean? You're opting
or a book.
You're opting out like kind of learning how to be a person in the world. And it's really fucking basic, you know. I'm gonna start crying and get on my fucking high horse. But do you know what I mean? Like I think that's for me like the giant message here. It's like, I mean, it really does take a village, and it's not easy. And like, I really commend you and your group and your group's sons, you know, all of them. I'm also going to look to make sure I'm not missing anything, but you know, I really want to make sure that, like, you know, if people, if people take anything away from today, it's just like, even if you're on the other side of how we are feeling and what we feel is right, because it is, maybe go do some research. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when I was in college, I took a debate class, and it was like writing debate. And I was actually young. I was like my freshman year. And I remember I had to debate as the opposition of how I actually felt. Oh. And I was doing it on abortion. And so I'm like deeply, deeply pro-choice. Right. And 18, you know, first semester, my freshman year, had to get up in front of the class, and everyone knew what, like they were, you know, but I had to go in, I had to do some research and learn about pro-life and why people might feel that way. And while I don't agree still, and all the bumper stickers on my car were like, how could you trust me with a baby if you can't trust me to be with a choice? Just say no to sex with pro-lifers. Just like, I mean, I had like the whole litany of all the shit. But it kind of, it did something to me, and I reflect on it because there were definitely some things. I mean, I think everyone has a story. Everyone goes through shit, and some people might be pro-choice because they lost a baby. You know, so like that opened my eyes a little bit. And even if we're not saying change your mind, I mean, I hope you will, but we're also like, go do the research. Go spend time with people who are not like you, you know, and see that family is fucking family, you know, and half the time we don't even like our family. Like, that's the weird shit. There are like, you know, I'm fortunate. I love my family. I'm not just saying that for this, but I'm saying like, but I know a lot of fucking people who don't for whatever fucking reason. And their family is their chosen family, you know? And so I guess sometimes the point I'm long trying to make too is that like it comes down to just being respectful of the people around you, caring, opening yourself up to learning something, you know, instead of immediately like the opt-out thing, those two words like really, really irritate me. Like I can't, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I need more. I need the 11%. You know, like, I'm going to toast you again. I have no real reason, but I mean, a giant thank you. Let me look and see if there's anything we missed. I mean, we could lighten it up because we knew, you know, a lot of this is, wait. One of our major questions that we have to talk about, and you brought it up a little earlier, but this one's like big circle is, what's the most frustrating misconception you've had to debunk over and over?
In life, or just about these?
I'd say both. The misconception of...
Well, I think that there's one misconception. I'll give you one for each.
Yes,
so
please.
In life,
yes,
there are nice people and there are kind people.
Yes.
And I am a kind person.
Yes.
But I probably will never get confused for a nice person.
No, I would not. I mean, I know you're nice, but I know that I'm one of the few who probably think that.
But a kind person will be there for you. Correct. And will stand up for you. Mm-hmm. Where a nice person will be nice to your face, but's going to stab you in the back.
Yeah, that's fair. Ooh, I love that so much. Kind versus nice.
So a lot of people in New England, I've heard, are kind.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the South, I've heard, are very nice.
Yes, because they will talk the shit.
As far as parental rights and this whole gender ideology, I think the biggest misconception is there is some sort of teaching children to be something. Yep. You don't teach children to be gay. You don't teach children to be non-binary. You don't teach children to be transgender. Now, I always said about myself, I came out in January of 1993. So literally...
How old were you when you came out?
I was 18. I just turned 18. And it was right before Bill Clinton's inauguration. And I remember saying, back then it was like, you chose to be gay, you chose to be gay. And I was like, I didn't choose to be gay. I chose to come out.
Yes.
Now, I had remember very vividly sitting there and thinking, like, I could live my life and just keep dating that nice boy from high school, and I'll never be really happy. Or I could come out and be the person I am, and I know that's going to be hard because look at where we are, right?
Yeah.
And the choice I made was to come out. There was no choice in being gay. That wasn't going to change. But that choice in being who you are and living openly and being proud of yourself, that is a choice. And I think that is what they don't understand.
I really like that.
Because
the choice is to come out.
These kids aren't choosing anything. They're not being taught how to do anything. They're learning about the fact that I exist, that my wife exists, that my children have two moms, that are lots of other children in this district that have two same gender parents or who may have some parents and you're not quite sure when you look at them and you go, I don't know, but that's your parents and that's fine.
And I don't care. You know?
And so I think that is the thing that is going to be missing if they have to, I guess, allow children to opt out of these lessons. But there's no curriculum. No one's teaching you curriculum on gender identity.
No.
Or they call it gender ideology.
Like
An ideology is how you believe about maybe God.
Yes. Yes. Well, again, but that also kind of comes full circle with the church state and like the teachings that they're wishing they could indoctrinate into our curriculum. See what I did there?
Right.
I'm saying, but that's some of the shit. Like that's like that. Okay. But so no, thank you. Because that is those two that I love how you said your personal, the misconceptions, the debunking, like the kind versus nice, kind of an epiphany for me. Cause I'm like, I think I'm a nice person, but I think I'm much more kind.
You're a kind person.
I'm a kind person. I'm like, I don't talk shit. I just try and be honest. And when my honesty gets confused with nice, I think it's true. Because sometimes I say things and I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not being nice. This is really how I feel. But sometimes it's like, I'm not being nice because I'm not nice. But I feel this way. I'm going to tell you, you might not like it. And so, but like, I feel like sometimes that happens as a parent too. Mm-hmm. Regardless of what your gender, regardless of who you're married to, we have to tell our kids hard truths in real life. Like, mm-hmm. And that's the crazy thing. We're all going through the same shit with our kids. Right. They're all going to be angsty, smelly fucking teenagers. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like we're all going to have to tiptoe sometimes when someone's fucking got her period or, they've had a bad fucking day or they have a pimple. You know what I mean? Like, we're actually all going through the same shit. It'd be so much easier if it just like, can we just recognize that we're all in this together? And parenthood, if there was a really good book about it, like you had the baby, here's the book, and like, this is how you do it.
Right.
It'd be so much easier. And then we just make things harder for ourselves. All right, now let's lighten it up for a sec. So, petty grievance. I do kind of like that. I need to ask you this because I feel like sometimes, like you and I will be like, ugh, my first world problem today. You know what I mean? So like, what's something really fucking annoying that happened to you this week or today or right before you, like, we're getting those chives out of your garden? Tough.
I tell you, it was completely petty. My oldest got a driver's license over the weekend, so I had to add them to the insurance. And I went into the insurance website, and there was literally 0 phone numbers.
Oh, my God.
And so when I started to add them just through the account, I get all the way through, like, putting in the driver's license number and the name and the birth date, and it was like, sorry, you can't do this online. Call this number.
Oh, fuck you.
So then I spent an hour and 5 minutes on the phone. Because once you realize you're going to add somebody and you find out how much that costs, and they're like, hey, you should also do X, Y, and Z. And while you're at it, your car's a piece of shit. Do you really want to keep covering it for that full amount? Because we're not paying you for that. So then,
Your Volvo is a piece of shit? Come on now.
And so by the end of it, it didn't cost nearly as much as I expected.
Oh, that's good.
Yay. And now I have an umbrella policy.
That's actually really funny. Also, so petty grievance turned into like little win.
Right, maybe.
Not as expensive, and we do like a good umbrella. Let's see, my petty grievance. I went to the Red Sox game yesterday and it was great. And this is first world problems. I splurged on some good seats for Dylan and a few friends and Molly and her boyfriend and me and Chris. And it was so motherfucking hot. And
yeah.
as a woman of a certain age, girl, like I literally lifted my shirt and showed Chris that from my boob down to my stomach, there was like beads of sweat dripping down. But on the flip side, it's like, oh, poor me. I got good tickets. I'm not covered. You know what I mean? Like, so that was my petty grievance. But the kids were really good. Dylan had a great time. We got like happy 10th birthday put up on the thing. The Red Sox won. So yeah, it was fun, you know, and that felt like a win because the other win was we took the train in, which was very crowded and very fun. Like all the Red Sox people, but the game ended like an hour before the next train, and I look at Chris and he looks at me, he's like, fuck that. We like walked as far as we could and then got a few Ubers home. I was like, nope. Now, and then it was funny. Then we were all situated. I ordered pizza for the kids. One of the dads came to like pick up and had a Negroni with me. And like we're sitting in the backyard having a drink, chilling out. We've been home for a good like 40 minutes. And then we hear the train roll in. I'm like, that could have been us. And I would have been so pissed. But yeah, so... But no, so all right, so people are looking for sons. Again, what's the acronym stand for? Standing Up?
Standing Up for Natick Students.
Okay. Where do they find you? What's your website?
StandingUpForNatickStudents.com.
Fantastic.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Okay, and then I got to cheat because I always do. If you're looking for me, I was going to say we should pour another lemon drop, but fuck, girl. So, you know, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. I really have a hard time asking for that. I seriously go back to like when followers meant like if you were deemed as a follower, it was because you didn't have a personality for yourself. So like
So you were in a cult.
Yes. Seriously, literally drinking the Kool-Aid. No. So yes, please follow, subscribe, rate, review. I've had some really good reviews, which has been fun. And you can find me actually my website's not up. I just realized I'd say it's pourmeastorypodcast.com. It'll be up in a sec. Pourmeastory.podcast on Instagram, Pour Me a Story Podcast on Facebook. I just mentioned subscribe, all that fun stuff. But Chris, I got to hug you. Thank you so much for coming and being vulnerable and drinking lemon drop shit. Bring it close for 1 sec when we're not in the pool. I know. Oh, please. But again, people just go learn. Like, I think that's like the big takeaway for me and why it was really important that you were on is that I feel like people just need to take a minute and step back and just go find out, go dig into the shit that scares you. It sounds so trite and cliche, but this is a big one. This isn't like be uncomfortable being comfortable, be comfortable being uncomfortable, which is like my most hated phrase ever. How about just be uncomfortable? Like, we can actually deal with being uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable for a minute. Go look at the other side. We've looked at the other side, you know, and I still don't find any redeeming anything in it. But I will say it's something we got to push forward. We got to have the grit and fucking keep going. So yeah, thank you. Fuck yeah, girl. Woo! Okay.